Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of the Desert Cardinal. My name is Paul West, and I live here in the desert Southwest, where we're in the process. You can still see the mountains, but we're in the process of having a dust storm blowing in, so it's pretty crazy outside right now. We've been talking about shame and the difference between healthy shame and toxic shame. You know, and I've thought a lot about shame, healthy shame, and I wish the English language had a better word for healthy shame, because just the word shame itself has such a negative connotation to it. It's hard to see shame as something good. And it's been said that shame says I am a mistake, and guilt says I just made a mistake. And that's a pretty good delineation between healthy shame and toxic shame. Toxic shame always goes to the heart of who you are. Healthy shame focuses more on, what you do. And we tried really hard with my kids when we raised them to not do the whole bad boy, good boy thing. We talked about that on the last video, and to focus on behavior and, not you're a bad boy. No, you're a good boy. We love you. You have a lot of great qualities about you, but what you did was wrong. And because what you did was wrong, now you're going to have to suffer consequences. And and most of us didn't grow up in that kind of environment. So anyhow, last time we were talking about shame, toxic shame. No, we started talking about healthy shame. And healthy shame, from what we got last time, was the ability to ask for help and to know what our limitations are, and within our limitations be able to set boundaries. And so that's where we'll start off today. Hold on real quick. Daniel, will you turn the ceiling fan on?
Sure.
It's hot. It's hot in the house. I just had my son come in, and it's on the thing over there.
Oh, okay.
Had my son come in and
High or medium?
Hi. Do you want to say hi to everyone?
Okay, sure.
Yeah, you can come around here. Right there into there.
Hello.
This is Daniel. He's my youngest son. Black belt, karate, expert guitar player, plays the drums, all around great kid.
And he's a great dad.
Wasn't always that way though. It's been a long road getting to that point. But anyway, that's for another day. Thank you, Daniel, for turning the fan on.
You're welcome.
I told you guys I was using some notes. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. Today I want to look at shame in a different kind of way, that healthy shame. And again, we got to remember, healthy shame is the ability to ask for help and the ability to know what our limitations are and to be able to set boundaries. And in setting boundaries, it needs to be done in a kind and caring and compassionate way, as much as it can be. Sometimes it has to be pretty stern in order for the other person to understand the boundary you're setting up. And sometimes you lose, friends or family because of the boundaries that you have to set up. But, in order for us to grow, we have to be in a healthy environment, just like a flower or a tree or the grass. It needs water, it needs sunlight, it needs to be taken care of. And we're the same way. We need compassion, caring, love, and acceptance and forgiveness, and the knowledge that it's okay to make mistakes and stuff like that. So shame, healthy shame, really is necessary for community. There is an ancient proverb which states, "One man is no man." This saying underscores our basic need for community, which underscores our need for relationships, our need for social life. Not one of us could have made it without someone having been there for us. We human beings, we need help. No one of us is so strong that he or she does not need love, intimacy, and dialogue and community. And really, that kind of gets to the heart of the whole thing of healthy shame versus toxic shame. That when we're young, one of the psychiatrists, famous psychiatrist, I believe his name was Eric Erickson, talked about different stages that a child goes through, or not just a child, but we as human beings go through these stages of development. And one of the stages is trust versus mistrust. And during that stage, we're learning that we're autonomous from our mom and our dad, that they don't have to carry us around anymore, and hold us as much. We begin exploring, we begin walking around, and we begin looking at things and discovering things. And it's during that time we're also discovering that, when I ask my mom, she gives me food. When I talk to my dad, we may have fun. And, and all of those interactions come together to form a sense of trust in human beings, and that it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to be trustworthy. And I read a quote that said, "We were we before we were I." Let me say that again. We were we before we were I. So, in our mother's womb, we were connected to our mother. And all of our nutrition, everything that we needed, came from the umbilical cord, from the mother to us as a baby in development. And then we went through a tragic episode of being birthed. It was tragic for the mother, it was tragic for the child, and we started on our journey of becoming autonomous. And that journey seems like it's never ending. The older I get, the more I realize that life is like a series of cycles, that it's kind of like the ocean, that the tide comes in and the tide goes out, and sometimes there's high tide, sometimes there's low tide, but the cycle just continues and continues and continues. And that's really true of life, that we go through these cycles. And when you suffer with mental illness, the cycles, the trust, the community living, all of those things are a lot more difficult than the typical person. And so whatever form of treatment you've chosen, whether it's just purely a spiritually based program, or medication, or smoking marijuana, or any number of things, whatever treatment that you've chosen to treat your mental illness with is important to you to maintain, so that way we can maintain that healthy sense of shame and live in community. So yeah, that's a mouthful, and I hope I'm communicating well enough for you guys to understand what I'm trying to say. And I was real thrilled when I saw the whole idea of healthy shame being necessary for community, because if you live in community, you have to ask for help. You have to be able to ask for help, and you have to set boundaries. That people just can't walk all over you. You have to have, this is my time right now. I'll get back to you later. That kind of thing. Just a simple boundary like that for somebody with a mental illness is hard to do sometimes. Sometimes it's extremely hard. Or if you tend to be kind of like in codependency, kind of, and you want people's approval, or so it's like the guy on the horse that went off in all directions, and just get totally confused. Let me read about that. At birth, we are symbolically bonded to our mother. We are we before we are one, before we are I. A great deal depends on the source of that relationship. After a year and a half of establishing the bond of mutual trust, we start to move out to test our autonomy. We need a sense of shame to remind us of our limits. We need our shame and doubt to balance our newly found autonomy. We will need our parents for some 2 decades before we're ready to leave home. We cannot get our needs met without depending on our primary caregivers. Our healthy feeling of shame is there to remind us that we need help. We cannot make it alone. No human beings can. There's an ancient proverb that states, "One man is no man." And this saying underscores our basic need for community. Even after we've achieved, we cannot make it alone. No human beings can. Even after we've achieved some sense of mastery, even we are independent, we still have needs. We will need to love and grow. We will need to care for another, and we will need to be needed. Our shame functions as a healthy signal that we need help, and that we need to love and be in caring relationships with others. Without a healthy sense of shame, we won't be in touch with our need for others. And I guess for me, that's the takeaway today from this video, is that without a healthy sense of shame, then we won't be able to discover the need that we have for others, and we can remain isolated. And for people who struggle with mental illness, like myself, the temptation always is to isolate. And for me, that's like one of the number one. I have about 2 or 3 issues going on right now, and isolating myself is a big one. My kids had a gig. They have a band, and they had a gig on Sunday night, and instead of going, I stayed home, and I probably could have gone and had a great time, but the anxiety and the fear and everything starts building up, and then before you know it, I'm creating a situation in my mind that I can justify staying home instead of just being honest and say, hey, I'm having a hard time, I'm going to stay home. You know, and I have to go and then take another step and lie about it, you know, which is stupid because my family's really supportive, and if I told them, hey, I'm having a really hard time, you know, they'll understand. And so anyway, like I said, the takeaway from today should be that without a healthy sense of shame, we will not be in touch with our need for others. And we need each other. I need you, you need me. We all are linked together. And I appreciate your views. I've gone over the 350 viewership mark, which is really awesome. That's pretty incredible. Got about 20 subscribers, and I'm just really fortunate, really blessed by all of you guys. My contact information is desertrainbow66@gmail.com. desertrainbow66@gmail.com. Or you can reach me through YouTube or friend me on Facebook. My name is Paul West. Have a good day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.